Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Spirit Rescue Talk. I'm your host, Amy Major, and you know my co-host, Jordan Start. We have a wonderful guest with us, medium Ashleigh Paige, today, and it's going to be a really, really great interview today because she does a lot of the same work that Jordan Start and I do as well. So I know we're going to have a lot to discuss tonight because she had actually reached out to me, said because she's in my Spiritual Warrior healing group on Facebook, which is a great group, which all of you need to join, by the way. All of you that are healers out there, join our group because it's a really great group where people get together and kind of talk about, their spiritual work, their healing work. And it's not just I'm going to do somebody's aura or clear someone's chakras. We really get into the real heavy stuff. For the majority of us, that's why it's warrior healing, warrior healers. We're all warriors out there. We're all fighting things that are considered more dark, spooky, scary than the average healer out there. And it's a really difficult field to be involved in. There's a lot of conditioning, practice, training, community that's really involved in this type of work. Anyone that does get involved in it knows the difficulties and the challenges that do come with being more of a warrior healer. So when Ashleigh reached out to me, I was like, absolutely, we're going to definitely have you on the show. I love her background, but I'm not going to talk too much about her background. I want her to kind of give us a little bit of a backstory of how she got into the type of healing and mediumship work that she's involved in. So hi, Ashleigh, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Love being here, especially with so like-minded people too. So, because this is kind of like a niche, I feel like it's not something that is very mainstream. So this will be a really interesting conversation. I'm excited.
Oh, yes. And Jordan, of course, does a lot of the attachment removal, the demonology work, as well as mediumship and psychic as well. And, when I told Jordan that you were going to be on, she got really excited, like, ooh, we're going to have a really great conversation in this segment. So thank you again for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the work that you're doing now?
Yeah, actually, I had experiences myself, just like mediumship. So I've been aware of spirit since I was a kid. I've always known that there is, something more than we can see. As I got older, I kind of repressed that because I didn't really want to be like, I was bullied as a kid. So I didn't really want to be, more of an outcast than I already was. But too, I was also told, you don't talk about these things. So they'll think you're crazy. They'll put you in the mental hospital. So I was shut down for a really long time. I learned Reiki, and that's kind of how everything kind of blew open for me. I started doing like treatments on people, and I would have like people's parents show up. So that's how I developed mediumship. And, along my journey, one of the lessons that I had to learn in this lifetime actually was how to clear not only myself, but also other people, because what was happening is I would go in and I do distance Reiki on people. And what was happening was I'd go in to do like a treatment on someone, and my guides would actually like eject me out of like their energy bubble, and they would like cocoon the person and they would actually clear them. So that was like really interesting. And I actually had 2 attacks from 2 people closest to me. So I have experienced basically everything. I don't know if you guys follow a specific protocol. I've been trained by 2 different, one by an academy and one by a practitioner. They have slightly different protocols, but I've literally had like every attachment that's on the protocol. So I kind of just started like this, desire and passion to want to help people, because I saw how transformative the clearings were for me and how much they, changed my energy and my journey so much. So that's kind of what led me in this direction.
Wow.
Sounds like all these warrior healers, we all got to go through so much, right? But you value it because you feel the transformation. Exactly what you said, Ashleigh.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer too, and not that you have to experience everything, but I feel like there's a reason why I experienced those things, and it was because I was drawn to SRT, and it's something that I'm meant to provide as a service in this lifetime. One of the things I see a lot of too in like readings, and I don't know if you guys see this too, but a lot of people, I feel like it's undervalued the importance of actually clearing one's field, inner and outer, and their own space. Like I feel like people just It's just not on their radar.
A lot of people aren't really aware that they have an energy field. And I know my sound's being here. We've had technical difficulties all night on my end, so I apologize for that. Whenever we get several people together that have a lot of mediumistic energy, it messes with the technology, especially on my end. So apologize for that. But I want to say that a lot of people don't know they even have an energy field out there. They're not aware of their energetic layers. They're not aware of the chakra system. They're not aware of imprints and that they actually absorb energy from other people around them. They're not mindful of their own energy. So telling someone, oh, you've got all these things, surfacing in your energetic field, they're like, well, what's that? So it's not something that's openly discussed out in the public. You have to kind of come across it, usually through your own personal experience. And that's what gets people kind of more involved in it.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened to me because I wasn't clearing my fields properly. And I was actually attacked twice. Once so bad that it actually caused like a physical ailment that I had to learn how to walk again. So I was like significantly injured from one particular attack. And that really taught me the importance of, building what I always call like the safe harbor within, building up like that strength in the root chakra, having like the safety, the stability. Nothing outside of you is going to give you that. Unfortunately, that's just the harsh truth. You have to give that to yourself. You have to build that within. That is very important. Also, too, clearing your fields and being aware of your energetic bodies too. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll tap in like mediumistically or intuitively, and I'll just kind of scan like what's floating around in my field. What I see a lot of is a lot of thought forms. So I don't know if that comes up for you gals as well, but that's something I see very, very often. And people don't even realize like how powerful your thoughts are. So, and then you've got collective consciousness, AI consciousness, all of these things. You've got so many things, entering the energy field. And I always love to give people the analogy. I'm like, if you think about it, I love to break things down in simple everyday terms that anyone can understand. And I always tell people it's like going to a public pool. If you go to a public pool every single day and you never take a shower afterwards, you're going to have everyone's gunk on you. And we're energetic beings. So if you're not clearing that field, you're getting everyone's energetic junk all mixed in with your own. So it's going to be really hard, especially if you want to learn how to develop intuitively, to be a clear channel, to receive guidance clearly. So that's really big. I see that all the time in readings with people.
That's a great analogy, by the way. Kind of gross, but I love it though, because it works so well.
Yeah. I love to just fluff my energy off after you said that. I was like, oh.
I know. I was like, oh, that's just going to give me a whole new perspective.
But I feel like everyone can understand that, right? Because we've all gone to the public pool. People do all kinds of things in the public pool.
Oh. I utilize way too much. I have to turn that off. So it's very interesting. How long have you been working in the field with SRT and doing, a lot of people don't even know what SRT is. So if you can kind of describe that a little bit to our viewers as well.
Yeah, I would say I'm kind of newer. I've gone through like a massive spiritual awakening in 2021. So that kind of catapulted me. I started off a little slow. I was learning Reiki, just kind of going through like shadow work, stuff that I needed to clear and remove out of the way. And then I had actually, right before I developed mediumship, it was kind of all happening at once, which was kind of, overwhelming at the time. But that's when I had two spiritual attacks. I had a hex that was placed on me by someone. Although I think it was kind of more, I think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I know it's traditionally seen as something that's unintentional. But I do think that was kind of thrown at me intentionally. But it's okay. Lesson. I feel like at some level, my soul must have agreed to that experience. So, and then I had another fight with another friend who was actually hypnotized that same day, which is really interesting. And we got into a fight. I didn't clear my energy field and I had that physical attack. And I actually had a good friend that was already trained in SRT. I kind of have like a couple of friends that are already trained in this modality. So I don't really, it's kind of interesting how like everything lines up, right? And I've always been drawn to it. And after she had cleared me. I'd gone to her again to get another clearing. And she was like, I couldn't do it. I've tried like 3 times, but there's like this resistance. And, the message that I got was that you actually need to learn this modality in this lifetime. So I ended up signing up for a course through Made for Love. And I studied with her. And she actually studied with the original, let's say, I don't know if developer is the right word, but Dr. Terrence Palmer through the SRA Academy. So I've also trained with them as well. So that's kind of how I got my journey started. But yeah, I was doing like Reiki treatments on people, and I was like seeing all kinds of crazy stuff in the energy field. I was like, I feel wrong just leaving this. Like, I feel like this needs to be cleared. Like, to me, looking back on that one instance, it's like, I don't know how you can clear someone's energy field fully and clearly and not clear those attachments. Like, to me, it just seems like it's like a half done job.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I know, going back to William Baldwin, Dr. William Baldwin, who created the spirit release therapy. He was, going into hypnosis. He was a doctor, started working with people, taking people into hypnosis and recognizing all of these people had some form of attachment. This was back in the 1970s. And he wrote a book, which I have, Huge Manual, one of my favorite books. And, he described that 80% of the general public out there has some form of attachment. And so whether, that be an intelligent attachment or manifested, because we put them in 2 different categories in spirit releasement. And it's usually either manifested, which is self-created, thought form, emotional thought projection, an empathic projection, a collective consciousness projection, you name it. And then we have intelligent attachments, which are intelligent beings. Well, we're not saying intelligent, saying they're smart. A lot of people get that confused. These are sentient beings outside of the human consciousness. They could be an earthbound soul. They could be an entity. They could be a demonic entity, interdimensional species. These are beings outside of the human condition, or an earthbound spirit that has somehow presented themselves into your energy field, is actually attached into energetic layers, levels, or the chakra system. So William Baldwin said, again, it's going through the energy layers and going into the different forms of consciousness, because these attachments can attach into different layers of the conscious mind and unconscious mind as well. And that's what a lot of people would call the chakra system, energetic bodies. And then we have different forms of consciousness, wounded self, child self, all these things that they can attach into. I've been doing attachment removal for about 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
And you're always learning something new. You're always learning something new. You're always seeing something you've never seen before. And that's why when you said you did the work, I'm like, oh, thank goodness, we need more people to do this work. And, Jordan's been doing it for a few years now herself. She goes into a little bit more of the darker, spooky, scary, I'm sure she'll talk about it in a second, of getting into the real, what we call non-human entities as well. I like to kind of throw those cases over her way. After 20 years of doing it, I'm just like, no, I'm done. Go over to Jordan, even though my guides were like, no, you got to still do the work. We resist on occasion. We need those breaks for a few years, because many of us get involved in this work through our whole career, because we see the importance of this work and how it's needed as well. What do you think, Jordan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I look at even what you mentioned, how you had even a physical ailment from having some of these attachments. I've worked with clients where, and, in my day job, I'm a therapist, but I will say I've had folks where I've been working with them, and clinically they've got all these mental health diagnoses, and I'm going in energetically and I'm like, well, you got a cluster of stuff happening here. No wonder why we've got stuff. Remove all that, all suddenly the mental health stuff goes down. And that's not to say that mental health is only attachment based, of course, but there are significant impacts that having an energetic hitchhiker that's not supposed to be there, but has decided to take shop in your body and your energy system, etc., can have on a person. And it really can dismantle their life. So finding out that, you know, we have more people and getting to meet lovely people like you, Ashleigh, who actually do the work, and who, one thing that I really love they mentioned was acknowledging that inner work and doing that inner healing aspect, because we talk about that all the time because it's so important and it's so underrepresented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree.
How do you know how many personal experiences you've had as far as having any attachments or anything in your energy? Because I find that's how the spirit world likes to train a lot of us, is by throwing the experience at us over and over and over again till we learn exactly what they are. Do you have any like stories? And I've got tons of stories of being attacked myself. I'm not afraid to discuss and say, yeah, I had it. I've had over 100 attachments myself in the last 20 years. So it's nothing for someone to say, oh, I'm ashamed that I actually had this attachment. I want people to recognize that out there. This isn't anything necessary that they're doing wrong, but rather it could just be a resonance. It could be a vibrational match. It can be in the wrong place at the right time. It could also be, you know, that you're manifesting things that you're not aware you're manifesting because no one's been able to really train you or teach you how to deal with your own thoughts and emotions. So I don't want people thinking they're doing something wrong if they have an attachment. Like I said, William Baldwin said 80%. That's a lot of people. And is everybody doing something wrong? I don't think so. So do you have any like stories or any experiences that you want to share?
It's funny. I actually put in my report to people, I've literally had every attachment that I've listed below because I want people to know, like, there's no shame in this, right? Like, we're all here having an energetic experience as well as a human experience. So I think that this is more normal than people realize. So I just want to make that okay for people. Other than those two, like, pretty severe incidents, because actually both of them affected me physically. So they were pretty significant. Other than that, I mean, I'm pretty aware, and I'm even hyper vigilant about my energetic body. Even as I was waiting to come on here, I cleared my field, I cleared my space. I'll do that afterwards too. But I will literally see things. Like, I've seen people, I actually saw once like a black blob that was on, you know how you have like the little apps on your phone? So it was a black blob that was on an app, and it came right through my crown and my third eye. So I was like, I know this is from social media. I know someone's throwing it was like black tar. So for me, that always represents like, I wanted to say disdain there, but it's like hate for like what I'm doing online. It's like towards like my online presence. So I have a lot of friends that are in SRT. If it's something, and I'm a big believer in, I believe that not like anything can be transmuted. So, and I'm also very big on standing in my power. And this has really taught me energetic sovereignty and knowing that I am a divine being. And that at the end of the day, it's me in the room all by myself. And I can literally transmute anything, obviously with the help of my team, which is extremely powerful. I'm so grateful for them. But I also know I have like this supportive community that I could message someone at the drop of a hat and a full clearing can be done. So I feel like, you know, joining this community has actually been like very transformative within itself because it gives you that strength. It's like strength in numbers. And I feel like we all work together and it's kind of like we're like this pack of like spiritual warriors, right? That's like fighting like the dark. And I don't subscribe to the whole, you know, everything is love and light because I don't necessarily believe that. I feel like we came here to have this experience. I don't want to say duality because I believe it's actually like low, neutral, high, but you're meant to see that contrast. There's meant to be, I feel like you can't really have the light without the dark. So, but I feel like nothing cannot be transmuted, and really just standing in your power and really being aware. And really a lot of people, even mediums I know too, they don't fully scan their energetic field. And it's like, tap into that intuitively, see what's there. Spirit will show you if there's something in your field that shouldn't be. So that's really been a game changer for me.
Everything can be transmuted. You're speaking more manifested, things that are created from individuals. Or are you saying that about everything, even intelligent attachments?
I think, sorry, what I should say, just to clarify that, I feel like anything that's in my field, I can return myself to sovereignty. So I can clear and transmute anything that is in my field within that space, if that makes sense. What did I want to say there?
Well, a lot of people that are watching don't exactly know what that means. Can you describe that for them?
So basically what I mean by that is I'm working with like my team of guides to clear any attachments that I sense in my field. So I'm basically watching, at least this is how I work. I basically watch whatever I find in my field either be bubbled and removed from my field and cleared, or it's being transmuted into the light and it's basically being dissolved in front of me and it's being ejected from my field. Whatever happens after that, like I leave that to my guides and I trust that like that has been removed. What happens to it after that, I trust in the higher power. But for me in my sovereign space, that's not allowed. So I'm very, very big also too on boundaries. Jumpers is another thing too. I think people don't realize too, is like when you interact with people, you could potentially have like an energetic being jump from one person to the next. So that's something that has come into my awareness recently too. So one of the tricks that I use is actually going up a mountain. And I learned this actually at Arthur Finley when I took a trance class on like trance healing. And one of the things he taught us was actually how to clear our energy field, which I loved because I feel like a lot of mediums don't really teach this work. And I feel like it's imperative when you do this type of work. But basically what I did was we did this group meditation where we all stepped into like a fountain of light. And I set that intention before I step into that light, that anything that is attached to me that is affecting my sovereignty, that's not of the highest vibrational frequency, is automatically cleared and removed from my field and transmuted by the light. So I step into that and I basically watch it go all the way through my field and cleanse every particle of my being to the atomic level. And I watch it being washed down like a drain and being transmuted out by like Mother Earth. So that's like a visualization that I use.
Yep, it's a good technique. What do you use, Jordan, for clearing your field?
Funny enough, my team has also brought me to a very similar place and situation before. Generally speaking, before I go in, it depends on, I'm not going to lie, depends on the time, the day, what's going on in my 3D life, because life gets busy. And if you know you're having to do a quick clearing, I'll generally almost like, this is my own little thing, I'll like step up on like a little table, like a megaphone, and I'll tell everything. I'm like, look, if you're like low vibe, if you're not supposed to be here, I'm going to give you the warning now. It's going to get really uncomfy. So you got a choice to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, you're not allowed to be here. This is all my own stuff. Like, you got to go. Some of them will leave. Some of them do not. And then I'll start bringing in different light frequency, and then some of them will, and then I'll call in, I'll call in shepherding spirits to bring it to wherever it needs to go, because some things they hang around and they're like, hey, like if it's an earthbound, they're like, hey, I'm here. I don't want to, whatever that light thing is, I don't like that thing. It's uncomfy, but I don't know where to go. So then, generally speaking, I'll connect those individuals with the most appropriate shepherding spirit to bring them where they need to go. And then I've noticed for myself that bubbling trance stuff that kind of comes up, like the little dark stuff that kind of bubbles away. I've noticed it's a lot of my own self-manifested stuff. And then depending if there's an aspect of my subconscious or an energetic wound that wants to have a conversation, then if I got the time, I'll go in and have a talk and counsel them, guide them a little bit, support them, give them new perspectives to help shift the frequency so that I'm not, manifesting as much stuff. So that's some of the things I'll do on the day-to-day, as well as ask my team to come in and, grab anything if I missed anything. Because, when you're jumping from task to task, sometimes I don't always practice all the steps that I'm supposed to be preaching, because life is life.
I don't want to hear that, Jordan.
Life, we're being real here.
Mm-hmm.
Life is life. So, and then generally speaking, my team will come in and be like, hey, you missed something. Now that you're, you got a moment, go back in, and then I'll go back in and I'll be a little bit more thorough. But, if you're having a conversation with somebody and all this stuff is happening, then I'm like, I'm trying to therapize somebody while also trying to, clear my own energy at the same time, while also I've got an attachment from them trying to jump in. I'm trying to, project out sovereignty and all that kind of fun stuff. So depends on the day. How about you, Amy? What do you do?
Oh, the list is too long. Well, I think one of the most important things to remember, and hopefully my sound's not going too weird today. One of the most important things to remember is how to feel out your own energy field. Know what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Understand your energy field carries actually many layers and vibrations and densities inside your energy field. We have 7 layers of vibrations and intentions and extensions of your chakra system in your energy field. Know thyself is very important. Get a feel for it. Just kind of go around and just kind of sense your energy. How far does your aura go up? Where is your energy field? Kind of almost visualize pushing out from your inner core into your energy field, and just do a scan every day. Just see what's in my energy field. Be mindful and aware of what's in there. And if you start sensing that there's something in your energy field, then you have to be more aware of what it is. And then that's when we start going into communication. We can't automatically assume that what's in our energy field is going to be harmful to us, is not there for us, or is not there to actually receive help from us. Because many of us that do this work are healers. What is attracted to healers the most? Well, that would be the wounded. So if you're attracting wounded forms of consciousness into your energy field, then we have to make sure that we address the energy that comes to us. We can't just automatically push it away. I don't. I used to in the beginning. I used to be very primal, very like my claws would come out. I would get very mean very quickly because I was always feeling attacked. Always. I had a swarm every day of my life. And when my guides started talking to me, saying, talk to it. What is this? What's going on? It may not be bad. When's the last time you actually communicated with something that's in their energy field? So I would talk to it. And often it would be an earthbound soul that's looking for help. It would be somebody else's energy that I had just talked to, and I just send it right back to them because I want them to have their energy, because we're constantly projecting our energy every day. So we want to make sure that they receive their energy back. If it's something I've created and I'm holding a lot of my own self-created manifested energy, I'm going to address it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to analyze it. I'm going to find out, why am I projecting this? How is it serving me to be self-aware of this energy? And what do I really need to do? Because transmuting everything is a wonderful thing, but what if we need to go in and actually go in deeper and heal it on a soul level? So being more mindful of what you're creating within your own energy field tells you a little bit more about yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, what you're carrying. And this is about being sovereign, is also about being self-aware. Know who you are, what you carry, what you're giving to other people. The majority of people out there don't know that. So, and as a rescue medium, we don't use white light nearly as much as other mediums do. We use like gold light, silver light, indigo light, violet light. We can use violet light's wonderful transmutation, obviously with Saint Germain.
Diamond light we've used.
And what?
Diamond light, we've used that.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
I know.
Light.
Great one.
But you're using white light around your energy and your aura. If you're a rescue medium, actually attracts more earthbound spirits to you than repelling them, because the majority of earthbound spirits are actually looking for the light. And if you're starting to put that white light all into your aura, you've just become one big lighthouse to attract all these earthbound spirits from all these different locations. And I've told this to my students year after year, and they're like, is that why I have so many more earthbound spirits around me when I do the white light in my aura? I'm like, yes, because the mediums out there that train it, they don't have to worry about earthbound spirits. We do. We're attracting them like a magnet. So we use other forms of transmutation. Use white light inside your body because it's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous when it comes to really clearing out the gunk, the nasty, debris of our energetic layers. So, but these are things that I've learned through the years. This was like, it took me decades to figure all of this out. And when I teach my students this, I kind of throw it all at them in like 5 months, and they're like, they're sitting there and they're shaking. I'm like, don't give me any more. I can't handle it. So it's a lot to learn. It really is. But I'm just so grateful, that you're able to transmute all of that from you, and you feel powerful and you feel strong with that. But have you gone in to like the chakra system, into like organs of the body where you may see certain spirits kind of stepping in? There's a lot of spirits that step into people and different organs and start wreaking havoc, most particularly the stomach. How many people have digestive and GI issues out there, so which are a lot of spirit activity that's actually embedded in their energy. Have you had the chance to kind of go in there and really start extracting more intelligent life forms from people? Because it gets really interesting.
I'm going to be honest, I've never seen anything like that. And that's not to say that that's not true, because I am actually a believer that like my experience may be different than someone else's, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm on my own timeline, but I'm also in a collective timeline too. So I always tell people that, like, if something doesn't resonate with you, right, then it doesn't resonate, and just leave it at the door. I've never seen that for me. Like I have, and that's like, I take my chakra system very seriously. So that's something I clear every single day. And I believe that there are like certain emotions, especially, and I've had digestive issues probably majority of my life. And it's actually something that's ancestral that has been, like on my mom's side. I actually have a lot of the issues I have actually stem on the left side of my body, which actually stem from like my mother's lineage, which I find very interesting. But I've spent a lot of time going into like my body and being very self-aware energetically of like, why is this stored here? What's the meaning of this? What do I need to look more at? So I guess for me, like, I don't really see it as like an entity. I see it as energy, if that makes sense.
No,
so always going into those centers and looking at like, well, how is it spinning? How clear is it? Are we like flowing in balance? What energy, what emotions are stored in each chakra, and then working through that and clearing those.
Right. Yeah. That's a lot of shamanic work too. A lot of shamans go into the lineage, the bloodline, looking at what's ancestral as well, and as well as going into the soul and finding out what karmic energy comes through the karmic patterns of the soul as well. So yeah, so many different practitioners do it different ways, and I think we need to. I think we all need to come at this from a different angle, because everyone out there doesn't have the same scenario. Everyone is different out there. So of course we need different practitioners to do many different types of modalities. And the fact that you're showing up, you're putting the effort in, and you're coming with heart says everything. It really does. And
yeah, I'm very passionate about this work.
It's a lot of courage to do this work.
Oh yeah. Huge. Yeah. I went from being like, I used to have debilitating anxiety. I've transmuted all of that. So like I've come so far, like to even be sitting here with you girls, like 2 years ago, that would have never been on my radar. That it would have never happened. And that was actually something that came up in like the clearing too, right? And that's why I talked about that safe harbor within, because I was going through like this massive like transformation. I had like debilitating anxiety to the point where like I would throw up and I couldn't even control it. I was an insomniac. I was having like crazy dreams. I couldn't eat. I wasn't functioning properly. I had this like physical injury, and it really taught me the importance of like being extremely like hyper self-aware and looking at like where in my body, like where am I storing energy? Where are the weak points in my auric field? Where am I not generating like my sovereignty and standing in my power and standing in my truth? Like all of those things were kind of like converging all at once. And, through learning like mediumship and doing shadow work and then SRT and like blending it all into like what resonates for me has really been like this huge transformation. And I know like certain people, like there are certain things in the protocol that to me traditionally I see them slightly different. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because I feel like what we see when I tap into someone's energetic field is I feel like I'm being shown a spiritual representation, something that my human mind can make sense of, and my spirit team. And then like we're transmuting that, we're clearing that. I shouldn't say me, but my spirit team is clearing that. So for me, it's like an image. It's just part of like the frame of reference, right? Is it really an entity? I don't know. Does it really matter? Not really to me. What matters is that we're clearing that and we're restoring sovereignty to that individual. That's what's most important to me. But I know people see it differently, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, something that we talk about a lot on here is that, there's so many, each person is so individual. Our soul's history, our soul's knowledge, everything that we're bringing in, the guides that we work with, everything is so diverse that it makes sense why we would need such diverse healers on the planet for the people that we're working with, but also for our own selves. How exciting for us as a soul to be able to express our knowledge in the way that makes sense for our soul at whatever part of our journey we are in. And one thing I really appreciate about you, Ashleigh, is like, I'm noticing how authentic you are.
Oh, thank
and
you.
How real you are about, this is my experience. Here's, like even the fact that you mentioned, hey, I had crippling anxiety at one point and this is what worked for me.
Yep.
Right? Where you're being able to be upfront and vulnerable with people, which I think shows a lot to the healing and the journey that you've yourself been on, which I would imagine would be incredibly motivating and inspirational for folks who are working with you or who might be listening, to be able to, again, it's different when you're in it versus when you're outside of it, but you can tell when somebody's really applying what they've learned for their own growth and development. And that's just something I just wanted to acknowledge, that I appreciate you showing up and being so authentic in who you are and what you do, because it gives permission for others to do the same.
It's exactly why I do it. You stole the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly why I do it. And I can only speak from my experience, right? And I understand that people have different experiences, and that's why I always say that. That's totally okay, right? That's my perception, and we have our own filter. We're going to filter it through our own experience. So, and that's not to discredit what you say is incorrect, because it's not. I guess I try to give an alternate viewpoint, so relates to a lot of people.
Now, you say you work with your spiritual team often. Can you describe who's in your spiritual team? Do you know like who? Because a lot of the viewers, they're having their own personal experience connecting to their own spiritual team and their guides. And when we give our experiences here, it's to give people a frame of reference so they know that, oh, we're not going crazy. This is really true. And so can you describe kind of like, someone on your spirit team and how they work with you?
For sure. Mine actually don't present as humans. They are not human beings. And it was really interesting because when I first started developing, I was like, why can't I see you? And they were like, because you keep trying to put us in this human box. You keep trying to make us appear like you, but we are not human. And I was like the light bulb went off. I was like, I never thought of it like that. I only really have one guide that actually appears as, I would say, like a human. And I don't even ever see his face. He presents as a samurai, and he is actually my gatekeeper guide. All of the rest of them are actually energetic beings. They actually don't even really have a form. It's just pure energy, if I can say it that way. And to anyone who's listening that is like at the very beginning and they're just starting to work with guides, I actually was in mediumship development class, and my teacher, the very first class, taught us to get into an expanded state of awareness. So like feet on the floor, ground those tree roots all the way down to the center, bring down that energy from source, merging it with the, energy of the earth, expanding it out, getting into that like alpha, we go a little deeper theta state, and allowing the spirit guide, setting that intention to come forward and giving you a symbol. And the very first symbol I ever got was a blue jay. And I was actually kind of freaked out because I Googled it. I'm very much one to like look up the meaning of things. So I Googled it, and apparently in some cultures, it can actually be seen as a trickster spirit. So I was like freaked out. I was like, oh my God, like I can't trust this. But it kept showing up in my awareness. And I really feel like it's really important for people out there Guides for me show up consistently. They will give you the same symbol. The vibration will be the same. How they work. Now it's kind of like when I work with my guides, it's like a team effort. They already know, like as soon as I set that intention, it's like everything gets into motion. So that's how I know. And I also have like a calling card. I have a few different things I use, but I'm very big on vibration. And the very first psychic medium I ever went to go see, she taught me that. I didn't realize at the time what that meant until later, but she said, and it doesn't matter how anything appears to you. She actually said, stop asking for the light. She was like, vibration is most important. She's like, anything can appear as anything. Something that is actually good can appear dark, right? Just because it appears as light doesn't make it good. It's the vibration that matters. And I didn't understand the importance of that until like my guide kept coming around. And finally, one day I don't know why, if this happens to you girls, but I sit in the shower and that's like my favorite time to connect with my guides and ask like, what do I need to know today? And I was sitting in the shower and I called this guy Jay, he's a blue jay. I called it forward and I sat with that energy. And I was like, this is not trickster. This is not bad. This vibration is healing. It's loving. It feels like home. I can trust this. And and my guide didn't push it. It wasn't, it allowed me that time and space to really get comfortable, to allow myself to open up and to have that guide step forward and really commune with it and really, get to know and understand its energy. And from that moment on, it was my main guide at the time. I've also had other guides step forward. Right before I actually started SRT training, I had the most powerful being I've ever sensed come forward, came in on my left side. So that's one of the consistency things for me. The guides always come in on the same side or they show up in the same position, which that actually changed, but I'll get into that. But I had an SRT guide show up and it was the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced other than Archangel Michael and archangels that have shown up. I did like IET before when I was doing like Reiki, which is like Reiki with like angels, I guess you could say. And that energy, it froze me. I'd never felt anything like that before. And I was like, how am I going to work with this energy? It's so powerful. But this guide stepped forward. I love to get names from my guides too. That's like one thing for me. It's not necessary, but I do like names. But just sitting with the vibration and like trusting it, and I should say consistency over a period of time, where I'm calling that, guide forward. It's showing up consistently in the same way. And really sitting with that vibration and developing a relationship. Now what's happened, because it happened about 2 weeks ago, because I typically see them in a specific order and I see them as energy, but in a certain form, I guess you could say. And I wasn't sensing them the same. And I was like, what's going on here? Have you left me? And I heard as clear as day in my mind, we would never abandon you. But we're working differently now. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, we've become one. We are now a collective. And I was like, okay, like we're working like Sandra, which is what I call my SRT guide. And they said, yes. And I said, well, what can I call you? And they said, you can call us Devona. And they said, Divine One. And I was like, okay. So I was in the shower. I finished up. I got out, got on Google immediately. If you Google the meaning of Devona, it literally means Divine One, protector. And I was like, that is insane. But that's the name they gave me. And just sitting in that vibration and, it's so powerful, but it's so loving. It literally feels like, being connected to source at the center root. It's just a massive amount of love. So I've just built up, I guess, this consistency over the last 2 years where I really, and I feel this is really important, trusting myself. Because if you trust yourself, it's going to, and your energy, like you talked about earlier, Amy, which is very, very important. You're going to be able to discern. Discernment's huge. You're going to be able to discern if something's coming into your field that's not right. And I have had like spirits or entities come into my field and I'm like, nope. It doesn't feel right. So, and then they get ejected out of the circle and they leave the premises. What happens to them after that, I don't know, but they're not allowed in my field or my space.
Right. Well,
Sorry, that was
information. Sounds fabulous. I know we're running out of time. Can you give everyone kind of an idea of how they can reach out and connect to you if they really want to get a healing session from you?
Yeah, I have a website. It's www.thenofiltermedium.com. That's all one word. I'm also on Instagram as _no-filter-medium. And you can find me on Facebook as Ashleigh Paige, which is my name on the bottom of the screen here.
Loving it. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences and the things that you've accomplished in a very short amount of time. And we're looking forward to seeing how far you're going to go with your career. So stay tuned, everybody, to see, how far it actually goes. And, we'd love to have you on again one day. So, stay in touch for sure. And we'll see how your journey goes. And if any of you would like to reach out to us, be a guest, or any comments or any questions that you have, Jordan, how can they reach out to us?
You can reach out to us at spiritrescuetalk@gmail.com. We love questions, we love comments, and as we said, we're always looking to expand the awareness of spirit rescue and every modality that's in that field, and to highlight folks who are doing this work, because as we've discussed, it's a community effort.
Yes, huge.
Yes. And we love all of you that do this work. So please stay tuned next time. We're looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.